What do you think of what is going to be the future of the church, short term and also long term?
In terms of our parishioners?
Yeah, in terms of parishioners, mass attendance, the makeup of the church, people who will continue to be part or come back to church.
I think at the beginning, right now, the reopening of mass, people are probably, you'll have the highly devoted Catholics who are attending mass without a question. But there's also some of those devoted Catholics who are staying at home out of concern for their health or the health of others. As weeks go by, they might come back because hopefully people who've already attended mass are reassuring them that there's precautions in place and it's a safe space. In the long run, I think we're probably going to lose a few people who took advantage of these 3 months and they're comfortable not coming back. They don't feel the need for the Eucharist.
Right.
Is that too hard to say?
No, I don't think that's too hard. I think that's just true, because when we have statistics that say that only 30-something% of Catholics believe in the real presence, then obviously the vast majority don't miss the Eucharist because they don't believe in it.
Yes.
So I don't think that's harsh at all. I think that's just true. And I think, like you said, it's going to be those 30% that the more devoted Catholics that went last Sunday or the previous Sunday, and that will continue to take that risk and never wanted to stop anyways, and would have taken that risk no matter what. So I think that in the short term is probably in many places going to be less people in mass, which might be even a blessing, because that means those that really want to go, there's going to be people, you're going to be a place for you, because if it's 100 people or less, there are less coming, that means there's going to be a place for you. And maybe in the long term they'll come back, hopefully they will. But I think the long term is, it's going to be that more traditional minded, devotion minded Catholic that's going to have a greater voice and say in the parish, because the other ones might not go, might not come back, and therefore the ones that stay and continue are definitely the ones that are going to have the higher voice. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. And I think that what it is going to do, I believe, it's going to set up a struggle, maybe a power struggle, which is already going on in the church, which is this power struggle between the more traditional minded and the more the more liberal minded Catholic. And if the people become more and more traditional and some of their priests are not as traditional, but the people in the pews are more traditional, I think that's definitely going to set up some power struggles and maybe even a change within the church and how the parish is run.
That's in the very long run.
In the long run, yes.
Yeah, and...
But maybe this virus thing kind of set that up, or made it come even faster. Because I think, like, if we were to take a poll of like the younger families, the younger people who go to mass today, there's a good chance that they're going to be on the more traditional side than the more liberal side of things. And maybe that's something that the virus kind of just ignited a little bit faster.
I think it's also important to remember, though, that we still have a lot of people who are not showing up to mass out of concern. And it's important to show compassion and pray for those people so we can have a place where they are welcome and they feel safe more than anything. Yeah.
No, I believe that. But I wonder what's going to happen if, like, those people who are out of precaution not coming back, and when things open more and the volunteers that volunteer for things are the more traditional minded, and then when they decide to come back, I think there's going to be a need for us as church to be welcoming and to saying welcome back, and rather than have that attitude, where were you? And
yes.
Yeah, that's going to be a challenge, because because I think that's a human beings kind of think that way.
But yes, I agree.
I think people will always think, where were you? You weren't here.
But that's being judgmental. But that's what I'm saying.
And that's the human thing.
Yes, but we're Catholic and we're held to a higher standard.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm bringing up the point of compassion,
Mm-hmm.
not being judgmental. And even with the mask, you know, like I said, you will attend mass and there will be a person that, although it's one of the requirements to wear a mask, he or she will not be wearing it. That's just what's going to happen. And we can't judge to the conclusion that they are not taking safety precautions. It may be that they have a respiratory problem that prevents them from breathing if they're wearing a mask. It may be more than that, but we don't know. Same goes to someone who's staying home out of safety. I think people do have anxiety, and I do think that we're all in different journeys here. And we've been faced with so many changes that we can't all be expected to react the same way. For example, at the beginning of the lockdown, we had few numbers and we were trying to flatten the curve, so let's shut everything down. If you look at the numbers now, at least at the ones that are out there in the media is telling everyone the numbers are going high, but we're still opening. So now people are being told to do something counteractive to what they were being told 3 months ago. So unless people are doing their own research,
Well,
they're gonna be driven by that.
right. I think that these are interesting points that we're talking about, and that's the future. It's an unknown.
Yes,
And
it is.
the only thing that we can do is try to follow the safety measures for
Yes.
our good, for the good of those that might be more fearful of coming back, and trying to be, like you said, Catholic,
Show compassion.
welcoming to those that maybe might be taking this in a different way,
Yes.
and so that we can continue to have mass, and hopefully we'll be able to have less and less restrictions as we go.
Yes.
That's the goal. And I think if we treat this seriously, even though if we have to mix a little bit of the,
Find a balance.
but we'll find it and that'll be good. All right. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right.